Hi, everyone. My name is Melissa Hozik, and I'm the Adult Programming Librarian here at the East Brunswick Public Library. Thank you for coming to this brief introduction to podcasting using Anchor.fm. We're going to talk a little bit about the Anchor platform, how to get started on it, and just how to do a basic teaser or first episode. This is not an all encompassing intro to podcasting from development to full distribution, but it will get you started on your podcasting journey. So we're going to go over what exactly is the Anchor.fm platform. I'm going to do a recorded walkthrough of creating an account and recording a basic episode. I'll show you about how to distribute your podcast using the Anchor platform, some basic analytics that are included in Anchor, and then I'll leave some time for question and answer. So Anchor.fm is a free podcasting platform created by Spotify. They weren't as big about advertising that they were part of Spotify in the beginning, but clearly it's in the logo now. And it allows you to record, host, and distribute your podcast for free. It's one of the most comprehensive and free podcasting platforms out there. And so we decided to use it for the EBPL podcast. So I'm recorded me making a previous account for an episode that's actually already up on a new podcast series. And so I'm going to give you a walkthrough. Today we're going to work on creating a free Anchor.fm account. So you're going to go to Anchor.fm, and on the top right hand side of the page, you're going to click on Sign Up. And then you're going to create your account with all the information required. Click on Sign Up. And now Anchor will have sent you a request to verify your email address. So you're going to go to your email and you're going to make sure you click on that so you can move forward. Once your email is verified, you can go back to your episode. So now we're going to do a podcast setup. You're going to scroll down and you're going to choose Go to Podcast Setup, or you can go to your podcast settings at the top right-hand side of the page. You're going to give it the name, description, category, and language that the podcast is in. So the basic parts of your podcast are now set up. But there's a few more things that we need to do. So we're going to go to Podcast Settings. And you'll be able to make a custom URL. I'm going to make mine the name of the podcast. It has that description and everything from before. You can change your display name, email address, and website as well. This is what will be publicly facing. Make sure you click Save each time. And something didn't save with my account, so I have to do it again. Make sure you click Save. And then you're going to go back to your settings. And update settings again, because I forgot to show you how to update your cover art. So you got to click on Update Cover Art. You can search a photo, upload an image, or have one chosen for you. I made a graphic of my own, so I'm going to click on Upload an Image. Then you would upload the photo. You can choose to put text over it. If you don't want to do that, you can put the Anchor logo on it. You also do not have to do that. And then you can update your cover art. I'm going to click on Save Again. Now we're going to create your episode. So on the top right-hand side, you're going to click on New Episode. In this case, we're going to make it inside Anchor, so we're going to record an episode. This is what the Create Your Episode looks like. There's a record, library, menu. There's even transitions for you to have between things. You can use some music on Spotify. You need to read that. You can have voicemails, but we're actually going to record directly in. So we're going to click on Record, and we're going to make sure we choose our microphone that we want to use, and then click on Record Now. Hello, and welcome to Cooking Through the Collection. My name is Melissa, and I'm a librarian and home cook. Cooking and baking have been a huge part of my life, with traditions and family sharing recipes. I do a lot of research when wanting to expand my repertoire, and so I've challenged myself to walk through the stacks of my library's cookbook collection and grab things I've never tried before. Join me on this journey, coming soon. Click on subscribe to automatically receive the first episode when it's released. And then we're going to click on Stop Recording, and it will upload it and process it. I have this extra file here. You'll see it come back and forth, but you just will have to ignore it. So it says processing. And then we'll be able to add it over to our episode with that plus sign once the processing is done. So now we can actually add background music to it directly. When you click on that, it will help you choose, and it's smart, so it'll give you all your before and after bumpers. You can play with that and apply the way you have it. You can listen to a little bit of a preview as well. So I'm going to click Apply. And then now you can add that to your episode with the plus sign, and you can click on Preview Episode. Hello, and welcome to Cooking Through the Collection. My name is Melissa, and I'm a librarian and home cook. Cooking and baking have been a huge part of my life, with traditions and family sharing recipes. I do a lot of research when wanting to expand my repertoire, so I've challenged myself to walk through the stacks of my library's cookbook collection and grab things I've never tried before. Join me on this journey, coming soon. Click on subscribe to automatically receive the first episode when it's released. So that's what the preview sounds like. We're then going to click on Save Episode, and you'll be able to put in a title of that episode. Let's see, we're going to type that in, and then we're going to do a description, which I've actually already ready to copy and paste. So then we can scroll down, we can choose the published date. And you can schedule it for in the future, so you can have everything all queued up and have everything planned ahead, so you don't have to just post it that day. I'm going to publish this now, though, and confirm it. So you can even add polls and Q&A to your episodes. I have not done that before, so I can't really give you any information on that. Then you can customize it by episode numbers, season numbers, if there's any explicit content, cursing. Also, if it's a teaser, full episode, or bonus episode. You can even change the cover art for each individual episode, but not all podcast players will show that. We're then going to click on Next. That will save everything. So we're going to talk now about availability and distribution. I'm only going to walk you through 2 platforms. There are many platforms, and you'll see them when you go to Settings, Podcast Availability. But today we're just going to walk through Apple and Google. So you'll see there's a link here with all the instructions under Apple Podcasts when you click on the Apple Podcasts dropdown. So you'll need this RSS link that you see above to add your podcast to all the podcast players. You can see it's Google Podcasts. There's a lot of options. Overcast, Amazon, a little bit of everything. Each of them have the instructions under them when you click on them. So when you're going to Apple Podcasts next, you're going to click on all the information, follow in, log in with an iCloud account. You have to read through all their terms and conditions and agree to them. If it's an individual account or it's a corporate account, continue along. You're going to follow the instructions on how to set up that account. And actually, you'll be able to see some of the basic information. It's going to take some time, but you would just want to confirm. So there's nothing there yet Of course, there's nothing there yet. We haven't added anything, so we're going to choose the show type. And this is where we add that RSS feed that we copied from earlier. Click Add. And then you'll see all your show information, and you'll follow the instructions to publish. Making sure your content rights are correct. You'll have to select all these or it will not let you save. And then now we're going to show you how to do Google Podcast Manager. So it's the same RSS feed from before that we're going to copy. Click on Start Now. This is from those instruction link that we found on that earlier page. We're going to add that, and we're going to do the next step. It's going to ask you to verify your Google account. It's going to send you codes. So you just need to make sure you follow all that. So since you've added it there, you'll see now it confirms it's the right podcast. See, it's going to verify your ownership. Now it's been verified, so you can click on Get Started and follow all the instructions there. You'll also be able to do some analytics from that page. You see, nothing's been listened to yet. Maybe one day. So it automatically will post to Spotify and Anchor because those are the hosts. So it takes a few days to get those other availabilities in, so you just have to be a little patient. But yeah, so your podcast is now set up. You can learn about setting up monetization for the basic one for Anchor ads, so you can do the learn more. At least for the minimum for that host read ad, you're going to need to have a minimum listenership of 50 listeners. So it will take you a while to get those subscriptions. So just be prepared. But now if you go to anchor.fm/ the name of the podcast that you put on the page, this is your homepage. So you can give this as your link to your website for your podcast. And you can see that I've actually waited a little bit. So mine are now showing up on Apple as well. But yeah, so you can click on share on the episode, a URL so you can share the episode link directly with people, or even embed it in HTML on a different website. So yeah, this is how you use anchor.fm to post your first episode of a podcast. So there is the brief walkthrough. It's pretty straightforward. If you follow the instructions everywhere, you shouldn't have any problems. There are tutorials online on YouTube and other places as well, including on the Anchor's YouTube channel. So I said there are some basic analytics within anchor.fm that you can use on the platform's dashboard. But of course, there are more detailed analytics on each place that your podcast can be found. So on Apple and Google and all of that. So just be aware that what you're going to get here is a small amount, but you may be able to find more granularity. But it's going to require one, more research on different places, or two, possibly a paid service where someone's actually done all of that for you. So that's really up to you. And if this is going to be something that's a career or is a passion project. So this is what the Anchor dashboard looks like when you log into Anchor, and you can tell what time of year it is. I have my 2022 wrapped on the front page. That didn't exist before for Spotify. Well, it's for Spotify, but not for Anchor. But you can see you get some general overview information. So we have our plays of all time, average plays per episode, audience size per episode, and you can choose the date. And if you are monetized, you'll see what your current balance is. As I said, EBPL Podcast is not monetized. But now you can see a little bit more about the plays and the podcast performance. You can choose the duration you want to have for your analytics, the time or date ranges, and how frequently it does the snapshot. As you can see here, it shows on the x-axis what days the episodes were published and the dates. And then you can see how the plays vary on each time, and you can see, scroll across that way. So if you go to audience, which is what we all want to know, right? We want to have an idea of who's listening. So this information is gathered across all the platforms. We can see the geographic location of people. So shocking that most of the people are in the United States. Not really, but it's cool that we do have people seeing from outside. We saw some from France and the Czech Republic. I don't know if that is people who are traveling that are triggering that, or if the subscribers are based there. So I can't answer that. But you can click over on that United States. You can see it says 80%. If we click here, you can see most of it's New Jersey, which is kind of cool. Actually, it says you can click further. So, wow, look, that's cool. You can see most of the people are East Brunswick, but we have people elsewhere, which is the cool thing as we learned about digital platforms and everything, that we catch people wherever they are. We can also see where people on the right side here on the platforms of where people are listening. Most are on Apple Podcasts. So that might be where we go to Apple Podcast Connect, where we made the account to see some more analytics. Anchor, web browser, Podcast Addict. I don't recognize that one, but you can also look on devices. So you can toggle from apps over to devices. And you can see most people are listening on the iPhone, web, or other. So that's your idea of how the platforms, and for Spotify only, we can see for people who made accounts how they identify. So, our podcast for people who listen on Spotify, 67% identify as female, 33% as male, and then no one's marked identified as non-binary and not specified. For our age, 50% of our listeners are in the 45 to 59 range. I find it interesting that they have this 0 to 17, since I don't think you can make an account without being under an adult account. I'm not sure, but we can get an idea here. So that's the Spotify only statistics because we're on Spotify's platform. So if we scroll up, we can now go to the episode rankings. And we have different hosts on the EBPL Podcast Network. They can get a little bit competitive, but we can see what our top episodes are. Sharing libraries, about librarians in the media. That was a series that we did with other libraries in the Libraries of Middlesex Automated Consortium, the 30 plus libraries where you can use your East Brunswick library card. So we had the most listens there. And then Reclaiming the Lost Souls, which was a series about bringing back to light the Van Wickle slave ring in East Brunswick and how forced slavery was happening in the US, in New Jersey specifically, when it was illegal. And then also things that we have in our interviews, at least for us, seem to be more popular, but it's also because the guests are encouraging their followers to listen. You can go through everything here, and you can also download here in the other play area to export to a spreadsheet so you can play with your numbers a little bit more if you really are into that. So, yeah, so that is our intro to podcasting using anchor.fm. I have some other resources for you that I will share in the recording, and they're here. I did a program on using the EB Create Recording Studio over the summer to talk a little bit more about what's in the studio, which is completely free to use, so you can check out that video. I also talked a little bit more about the software that we use for the EBPL podcast. We don't record natively in Anchor because you don't have as much flexibility for editing and mixing and those things. And I'm a control freak and I like to have things a certain way. So I prefer to, instead of doing the create your episode, you'll do a quick upload and then it'll take you back to that same page as before. I ran a program beginning of this year talking about best tips for audio. You don't have to buy the really expensive microphones or anything, but having something better than your built-in computer microphone is always good. So I have that in the playlist. And also Anchor has some great resources on their YouTube channel. The I Should Start Podcast playlist is a few years old, but there's lots of really important information there. So does anyone have any questions? If not, thank you so much for joining this presentation.